I think one of the things that's really striking to me that you point out in the book is that when you have these network effects accrue to companies, they do things that are unbelievably exploitive in terms of take rates. So maybe you could take us through that
Yeah.
and how that works.
Yeah. So take rates, just so folks know, is in an internet service or a network, it's the percentage of revenue that goes to the operator of the network. So in the case of these corporate networks, the corporate owner. So think of it almost like a toll that's charged. And so, for example, credit cards charge something on the order of 2.5%, although a lot of that's given back in rewards to consumers. Apple charges 30% for the right to just simply distribute your app, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
um, uh, Social networks outside of YouTube take all the money. And web and email, which are these open protocols, there's no take rate. There's no one in the middle. And that's a very important kind of economic consequence. So, and I have a whole argument in the book as to why basically the design of the blockchain constrains the take rate. And that there's a bunch of reasons why, including the fact that with the blockchain, the designer of the network is forced to commit upfront to the take rates and then can't change them. And that creates a competitive dynamic where people can sort of shop around. And empirically, I have a few charts in the book, like the take rates in, for example, Ethereum is sub 1%, and all the kind of common blockchain networks are very, very low empirically as well. And so, and so that's very important from from like if you build a social network, like we're investors in one called Farcaster, which is an emerging social network where, for the end user, it feels like a kind of like a typical social network like Twitter. But a very important difference is if you build an audience there and you want to, put up advertising or sell them a subscription or do whatever you want, you get the money, you get all the money, right? And that's just a dramatic shift. That's really like $150 billion a year in current social networking revenue that you sort of like, I think of it like a train track, you can reroute it back to the users. It's also what creates the opportunity, because I think, historically, a lot of opportunities for new businesses on the internet have been ones where you take an existing high margin business, your margin is my opportunity, Jeff Bezos would say, in the same way, like your take rate is my opportunity. The fact that you can, this is also what makes me bullish on these networks succeeding, is if you can go to these creative people and say, hey, do you want all the money instead of none of the money? Like that's a pretty powerful proposition.